How did you start to re-identify who you were?
At first, it really did feel like, oh my gosh, what do I do now? This is what I've wanted to do since I was 12 years old. If you're doing what you love and what you're passionate about, I promise you, the money part will fall into place.
This is Erin O'Malley. For 30 years, she was a radio DJ, 24 of those in Boston, sharing feel-good stories and helping people start their day with a smile. Then, corporate cuts ended the career she'd dreamed of since she was 12. At 52, she was starting over, and for the first time, she had zero desire to go back. So, she taught herself how to create a podcast watching a zillion YouTube videos and turned her passion for positivity into feel-good frequency. As a breast cancer survivor, mom to a severely special needs kiddo, and wife of a 26-year Navy veteran, she's learned that even when life hits hard, this is where she celebrates it one story, one moment, one good vibe at a time.
You also are a breast cancer survivor.
I hit something and I was like, what is that? And I hit a tumor. What's going to happen after here?
Being preventative gives you a fighting chance. If I don't start, I'm never going to start because it's never going to be perfect. Erin, thank you so much for being on Wake Up with Marci.
Thank you, Marci. I am honored to be here.
I got to tell you, you are a remarkable woman. I've been following your story a bit. And you and I have had a conversation, and I'm really super excited to have you on the show to help us because you've gone through it. You've gone through multiple hardships, obstacles, and you have transformed, and you are doing amazing work today. So thank you for sharing so openly today on Wake Up to help others.
Oh, thank you. That's so kind.
Yeah. So let's talk about your career first. I
Okay.
mean, you spent 30 years in radio. You had your own show.
Yeah.
And then because of what happens so often, right? They have these massive let goes, and they're reducing the amount of employees they have, the companies, because they've got to, let some people go because things are changing with the corporation. And because of that, you were let go.
Yes.
So, and that's so hard because a lot of people are being let go, and we're at an older age.
Mhm.
You've been in that career for 30 years, like I had said. And so when that happened for you, what did that feel like? I mean, that was a big, huge part of your identity.
Yeah. I was actually gonna say it kind of felt like I lost my identity
Yeah.
because and I know they always say your job is not who you are and you are not your job, and I agree with that in most circumstances, but being on the radio, I'm not a fake person. I don't know how to be fake. So I shared so much of my life on the air, and I was very transparent and went through some things and told listeners about it and tried to help them with experiences that I had, and it was just such a huge part of who I am, what I did on the radio. And so at first it really did feel like, oh my gosh, what do I do now? This is what I've wanted to do since I was 12 years old. And what's going to happen after here?
Right. So share with us, how did you start to re-identify who you were and find your self-worth and that next chapter for you? How did you find the confidence to start over?
I have a terrific husband who is a big cheerleader of mine and kept saying, this just means that there's something bigger that you're supposed to be doing. And he had
Mhm.
said that for years, especially toward the end of my being in radio. He said, what are you going to do next? And I kept saying, what are you talking about? I don't want to do anything next. And then when it finally happened, he was reminding me there's a reason for this. There's going to be something on the other side for you. And I will cheer you on and support you with whatever you decide. And I kept thinking, gosh, I miss telling feel good stories because that was one of the big things that I did every day was I found a story that usually when you watch the news or anything like that, they'll have maybe a human interest story at the end for 37
Yeah.
seconds that's going to make up for all
Yeah.
the bad you just heard about. But I
Yeah.
would pull those stories because I thought, wow, what a happier place it would be if we started with those stories, if we talked more
Mhm.
about those stories instead of all the negative. I mean, not to
Yeah.
live completely naive. I know we have to know about certain things, but just the happy. What would life be like if the first page of any newspaper was good news, something
Yeah.
wonderful that happened instead of all of the bad. So every day I would tell these stories, and I do a couple a day, and I missed them. And I had listeners that had emailed me after I got let go, like, oh my gosh, your stories would uplift my day. And so I was, okay, how can I still do something like that? And then I thought
Mhm.
about podcasting. I had never been on a podcast, I had never done a podcast, but I YouTubed the death out of it. And I
Yeah.
went from one video to the next for about 3.5 weeks. And then I said, "You know what? I'm never gonna feel ready, so I'm just gonna
Yeah.
do it." And that was
Mhm.
I just jumped in because I thought I I already have the experience behind me of being able to talk. I think that's a huge, obviously, part of
Yeah.
podcasting. If you're
Right.
nervous in front of a camera or in front of a microphone, it's gonna take you a while to get used to it. But I thought, "You know what? I've been doing this. This is just I'm gonna have a camera because I never had a camera before." So I was like, "I'll do video and audio."
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
if I mess up, I'll just laugh about it, and it'll be fun to grow it. And people that find it like, "Hey, look at episode 1 versus episode 25," and just to see how different it is. And I have had the best time, and I'm finding people to talk with that make the world a better place. And
Yeah.
so I am so re-energized and so excited, and it is a blast to and I'm doing everything myself. I don't have a producer, an editor, not it's me. But
Yeah.
that also makes it fun because I'm like, I'm doing it out of my house. So I can do an interview that's, England is a totally different time zone. I'm right here. Whatever time you want to wake up, I'll be here. And so
Right.
I'm just it's so fun to be able to bring people to a podcast that are truly finding ways to make the world a better place. And a lot of the stories, they started off really tragically. It's something bad happened, and that was
Yeah.
what was the catalyst for this person starting a nonprofit or wanting to help others. And it's just such a great reminder of how many wonderful people are out there. And so I am in the best part of my life, if you can believe that. It's true. I'm having so
I
much
no,
fun.
listen, I believe it. I'm so aligned with so many of the things that you said. So when I started, well, I had a TV show and then I moved to podcasting. But prior to that, how I started was on a Facebook live show called Coffee with Marci.
Oh.
And I basically harnessed everything from my career because I'd always worked in television. And then in my 40s, I got in front of the TV and in front of the camera. And I learned so much about being in front of the camera and the production and that side of things. And so when I started the show, it was just like you said. It was like, okay, I'm figuring this out as I go. But if I don't start, I'm never going to start because it's never going to be perfect. I'm never going to feel fully ready. And
Mhm.
one of the things that you said, and this is what I did because a lot of people would ask me, like, how do you do that? Right. But I, instead of trying to be perfect and feeling so bad about myself if it wasn't perfect, I would laugh at myself, right? And we're all human. We all
Yep.
make mistakes, right? And just from there, it continued to grow and evolve. And now it's almost like, well, you're doing what you're supposed to do now in this chapter. So for someone out there, like if downsizing has happened and they are having to try to figure out what is next, what would you say to them?
I would say, first of all, keep the faith in yourself and your abilities because your next step might not look exactly like what you were doing, but what you have isn't starting from 0. You have
Mm.
experience and you
Yeah.
have something to bring to the table. It doesn't matter how old you are, you have something to bring to the table. I feel like at a certain point, people are like, oh, well, they're not going to hire me because I'm this age, or they're not going to hire me
Right.
because might be too expensive for that company. Okay, well, maybe for that company you are, but that doesn't mean you're going to be for another one. Also,
Right.
if maybe you were let go for a reason that's going to make your life better. That
Yeah.
I try to hold on to that thought as well, even when, because so many different things have happened to me in my life that I'm like, wow, here we go again. But
Yeah.
every single one has made me who I am and stronger. And I just don't want people to lose the faith. Also, I think about, and this is what I did, what made me happy as a kid? What made me, when we were younger, everything was, it seemed fast, but it was slow. We took time to go play and enjoy life, and maybe the next part of your life is supposed to be more of that in a way that you can still earn a living. It might look
Yeah.
different, it might not be the same paycheck, but there are, if you're doing what you love and what you're passionate about, I promise you the money part will fall into place. It's
100%.
finding your
Yeah.
passion.
And, I always say that too, like, how does someone reinvent themselves, right? Or, the kids are leaving, they're getting to an age, maybe they've been a mom and home. I always say, go back, go back. What did you love when you were younger? Right?
Yes.
And maybe because that's when we didn't have all of the weight of the world on us and we were able to dream and be creative and tap into the things that made us happy. So, what is it that made you happy then? Maybe
Mhm.
that's what you're supposed to be doing today. And that's actually, again, what I did, because imagine getting in front of the camera in your 40s, which was very hard for me to do, but that was my dream when I was young. I
Wow.
wanted to be a model. I wanted to be an actress. I actually wanted to be Erica Kane from All My Children. So
Didn't everybody?
so it was so funny. So it was like, wow, yeah, it was hard, and it created a lot of change in my life, but ultimately through that process, it's been an amazing, amazing journey, and I'm grateful to be where I am today because of that. So I'd say, keep going, and just as you said, like, dive into those passions and those things that sparked you when you were younger. And when you're doing what you love, it doesn't feel like work, right?
It doesn't. I had 30 years of no work, and I got paid for it, and it was lovely.
Yeah.
Like, it was my childhood dream come true, and that's the other
Yeah.
thing, and I love how you said that, because I think it's really, really true about circling back to when you were a kid. Maybe also when you were a kid, you wanted to do something, and you had older people, different generations saying, "Oh, a lot of people wanna do
Yeah.
that. Why don't you do something more practical?" What was that thing? Can you go back
Mhm.
and study it and try to get into it in some way, shape, or form? Maybe it's not gonna be exactly the way you think it would be, but it's still out there. As long as you are breathing, you are still able to chase a dream, and I
Yeah.
just think life is too short not to.
Right. Right. Live the dream, right?
Yeah.
Live the dream.
Yes.
So you also are a breast cancer survivor.
I
And
am.
wow. Can you share with us that story? Because that's a miracle, what happened for you.
It really was a miracle. So, in end of 2017, I had a 3D mammogram, which was the most telling of mammograms. Totally clear, everything was great. In May of 2018, I was in my closet trying to figure out what to wear. It was gonna be a really nice day the next day, and I saw this one tank top, and I was talking to myself, and I said, "Oh, that would look so much cuter if these were just a little bigger." And I hit my right breast as I was talking to myself, "Oh, if these were just a little bigger." And I hit
Yeah.
a tumor. I
Wow.
hit something, and I was like, "What is that?" And it was a lump,
Mhm.
and the first thing I think probably every woman does is you go to the other side to see if there's something that feels similar, and there
Yeah.
wasn't. And I was like, still trying to talk myself out of it, thinking, "Wait a minute, I just had a
Of course.
mammogram not even
Yeah.
6 months ago."
Yeah.
So I ran downstairs, and I said to my husband, "You seem to care about these more than me. So can you just tell me if this is normal?" And he goes, "No, it actually," and I think this was such a good explanation. "It feels like a knot like if you were
Mhm.
getting a massage and you can feel that the
Yeah.
therapist hit something and you're like, "Ooh, that is a knot. I didn't even know that's exactly what it felt like." And so
Wow.
I went and did another 3D mammogram and all that, and it was stage 2 breast cancer already.
So did that grow that quickly from the initial,
Yes.
test? Yeah?
Yes. It's the fastest growing, fastest spreading kind of breast cancer. It's called, triple negative, and the average person who gets it is either a Black woman, Latino, or very young Caucasian. I
Mm.
was, I think, like, 45. So I
Mhm.
and a white girl, like, did not fit any of that stereotype of the people that normally get it. It's also, I wanna say, maybe 10 to 15% of breast cancers. It's a small percentage of the
Okay.
breast cancers that are out there, and, yeah, I was already in stage 2, and so
Yeah.
my oncologist said, "I'm looking at your scans from not even 6 months ago, and this was not there. So if you had waited, if you hadn't have somehow just touched that tumor that day and found it,
Yeah.
and you waited till your next appointment, you would have been stage 4." There's absolutely
God
no doubt because it would have had another 7 months to grow.
God works in
So
amazing ways. Truly,
yeah.
truly does. And it really makes you realize how important getting our mammograms are, and even after you get them, to continue to test on yourself, right?
Yes. Yes.
Right.
I never
Uh,
did self-exams ever. I mean, I
mhm.
probably could have counted on one hand because I
Right.
had called dense breasts, and so for me, I was like, I couldn't tell if I had a lump anyway. Yeah, you
Yeah,
can. I
you can.
definitely could tell
Yeah.
when I hit it that it was not normal, and so, thankfully, I hit that just by accident, and now I am a big advocate of, "Hey, please check yourself. Do
Yeah.
not rely just on the mammogram, and if you are getting mammograms, please try to push, especially if you have dense breasts, for 3D mammograms because they are, yes, more expensive for the insurance company, but they are more telling and they can save your life." So, that's another thing that I'm always saying because
Yeah.
holy cow,
And it's
I mean,
just also through this story, shows how important it is that we do get our tests, because if we get the test, if we're doing the self exams, then we have a fighting chance like you.
yes.
And, you know, shame on me. I'm getting one at the end of this month, but I didn't even realize, like, my God, it's been over 2 years, right? So it's
Oh, yeah.
easy. It's easy to put it off, but we should prioritize it, just like anything else in our lives. And being preventative gives you a fighting chance. What did this experience teach you about yourself and the importance of self-care?
I think especially through all of that, I kept hearing people say, just like when you're on an airplane and they say, if the masks drop, put it on yourself before you help the person next to you. And oh man, did I always hate that because I'm like, oh,
Mm.
I would help my kid before I help myself. And
Yeah,
then
I get that.
as this, and just like perfect example, as you were saying, it's been 2 years. If it was your child, if it was your
Mhm.
husband, if it's somebody else that we're constantly, helping and in charge of, we wouldn't let it slide that much. But with
Yeah.
us, we do. And if we are not at our best and taking care of ourselves, everything around us goes to the wayside. And so
Mhm.
I learned that it is not selfish to put in for a massage appointment for yourself or to do things that are going to make you feel your best and therefore be your best. And when I found out that it was stage 2 and that I immediately turned into warrior mode, like this is messing with the wrong person. A big C is
Mhm.
not taking me down. But I
Yeah,
also felt like I found it for a reason. I had a
yeah,
platform of being on the radio and I could get on there and tell people, this is what I'm going through. You need to check yourself. You need to be your own advocate. Don't skip appointments. And I was able to do that. And it was so beautiful to have so many listeners then within those years after say, I never checked myself and I did, and I found something and it was cancer. And I thank you for saying. So it's like, wow, I did find purpose in it. I also decided that I was going to dress as Wonder Woman for every single chemo appointment, and I did. I was only going to do it for the first one. I said it on the air. I'm like, I don't, cancer's messing with the wrong girl. I'm coming in my Wonder Woman costume on Monday for my first chemo. And I did. But once I got there, all these other women were like, "You go, girl." And it was
Yeah.
so cool to see them get happy and cheer them up, that what started off as just like a joke, I was just gonna do it for the first time. I literally wore the same costume every single chemo appointment, and it made everybody around me, smile, and it was
You brought a
worth
little
it.
lightness. Right.
It was worth
Right.
it. It was so
Yeah.
worth it. I'm glad I did that because I think it also helped lighten that heaviness of it for
Yeah.
people around me as well.
100%. So after all this and you started your podcast, Feel Good Frequency, which I love the name because I talk about energy work, and what we put out there is what we receive. And in following you and watching some of your stories and your podcast, you always have amazing things that are happening for you. And I do too, since I have changed my frequency, right? And I am putting out good gratitude, happiness. Life has changed significantly for me. So, what are your thoughts? Like, what was the purpose behind the name Feel Good Frequency? And what are you finding in your life now that has changed since you yourself has changed your frequency?
I think that for me, the whole feel good frequency, when I was on the radio, I loved telling happy stories. Feel good stories was
Mhm.
what I always called them, because when we watch the news, anytime it's all bad, 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 and then maybe 30 seconds of something uplifting at the end, like, woohoo, this is a great story. Thank you so much. This lemonade stand just raised $10,000 for the local shelter, whatever. And it's adorable, but I'm like, wow, that's what I want to hear about. I mean, I know that we have to know what's going on in the world and that kind of thing, but I love that idea of just being able to bring the good. So when I was reinventing what I was going to do, I kept thinking about, okay, I don't want to call it like feel good stories. I didn't want it to be what I was doing on the radio, because now I don't have to play songs in between. I mean, I love music and stuff. When I was on the radio, I'd have like a minute to tell a story, or
Mhm.
34 seconds as the song started. And now it's, wow, I can just talk about the happy. I can tell crazy stories that have happened in my life that I learned something from or that were funny. But I can also talk to all these people all around the world that are doing things in their communities that are making a difference, and they're making the world a better place. And I thought, there's nothing better. That nothing would make me happier than just talking to people from all over who are finding the good, even
Finding the
through the
good.
worst
Yeah.
situations, you know?
And we can, right? It's so hard living in that place of gratitude, right? And finding the lesson through the difficult times. And but you can, it is about how you get through those obstacles in life, because life is going to happen no matter what. But it's
Right.
how we face them. And a lot of it's about our mindset. So for
Yes.
someone out there, what's a mindset shift that you could recommend to someone that's going through a difficult time or rediscovering their purpose?
You're here for a reason. You have made it this far, and not to be all Tom Brady on you, but you didn't get this far to only get this far. So there's something there for you. Sit with yourself in silence. Maybe go for a walk in, the woods like we used to do when we were kids, and skipping stones and stuff. Just simplify things, and just look inside yourself and remember how strong you are. Because even when you're feeling weak, and I never did, it's very hard for me to do the why me thing, because that is such a rabbit hole that if you start doing like, yeah, why is this happening to me? I've had enough crap happen. That is just a cesspool of nothingness that no
Mhm.
good can come of it. It's just going to put you to a different level that you don't want to be at. So I'm a big believer in just sitting with yourself, reminding yourself that you've made it this far, that you've gone through
Mhm.
a whole lot of things, maybe that nobody that you know has even been through, but you've gotten there. And
Yeah.
you have all the power. You have
Yeah.
all the power. You can do hard things, and I promise you that you put the work in, it's gonna come back. Just like you said with the energy.
Yeah.
If you keep trying, you can't fail. You just keep
Yeah.
trying. Even if you fail, you've learned something, but then keep going. As long as you keep
Keep
going,
going.
you're
Yeah.
not failing. You're just
Exactly.
learning.
Yeah. 100% learning and evolving. Erin, I
Yes.
want to thank you so much for sharing your story and your heart with us today. You are definitely living proof that we are never too old, too
Never
broken,
too
or
old. Never too
lost
old.
to begin again, right?
That's
Right.
right. You can begin again, I
And
promise.
yeah, so just want to share with all of you out there, my listeners, if you're someone who's navigating the early days of sobriety, I want to personally invite you to check out my new book, Wake Up, You're Not Broken, a companion for your first 30 days of sobriety. This book was written from my heart to yours to walk with you through the vulnerable, brave, and beautiful beginning of your healing journey. And it's available now for pre-sale on Amazon. Erin, I'm going to put all of your information in the show notes. I'm so excited about your podcast and all of the things you're doing and your messaging. And for everyone, no matter what you've been through, you are not broken. You are becoming, and it's time to wake up to your worth. So, Erin, thank you again.
Oh,
And to
thank you.
everyone listening, it's been a great show.